How crazy is this? We're out on the Solent on a Sunday afternoon. And I'm the only one here, apart from that fella. So yes, out on the Solent, we're sailing, just got the jib out, and I thought I'd talk to you about why you should not trust your gut. When people say you should trust your gut, that is super dangerous. You should not trust your gut. You should be suspicious of your gut, and here's why. See, so the part of your brain that handles risk, right, and helps you determine what you should and shouldn't be paying attention to, is a combination of the amygdala and the cerebral cortex, right? And that is, especially the amygdala, is your fight-flight part of your brain. That's the part of the brain that looks at something in the grass and goes, "Oh fuck, snake!" And then after a minute, your frontal cortex, the front part of your brain, takes over and says, "Hold on a second, I know what that is. That's not a snake, that's a legless lizard, it's a slowworm," right? That kind of thing. That's how your brain operates. And your gut response is based on all sorts of things to do with preconceptions, biases, and your previous experience. And the reason why you shouldn't listen to your gut and why you should think carefully about things like red flags in new relationships is because if you want to do something that you've never done before, if you want to pursue a dream, you have no experience of that dream, right? You have no experience of what it's going to take in order to push the boundaries, how to push yourself out of your comfort zone. And your gut will tell you, "No, don't do that. That's a bad idea. Don't go out in the sea. There's sharks out there." Right? And it will say, "Oh, that guy that's super enthusiastic in a new relationship, he's just going to walk away because that's what they all do," right? Or that guy that I've been dating for a while is smiling at some person in the street, right? It's clear sign he's cheating on me. That's a red flag. Those gut feelings, right? You should be careful of those gut feelings because they take you away from something that you might want to do, right? If you've got a dream and you've never done anything like that before, and your gut gets in the way of that, you will never fulfill that dream. So if I'd listened to my gut, if I had said, "You know what, I'm going to trust my gut," this sailing with a weirdo thing would never have happened, right? I know it's still very early days, but this sailing with a weirdo thing would never have happened. Initially, sailing with a weirdo was all about my story. My mum had committed suicide, and I had sort of picked myself up from that, and I started sailing. I had practically no sailing experience, but I learned, right? I bought a boat, and I got lessons, and I made sure that I knew boat handling, I knew how to balance the boat, I knew sail trim and all those kind of stuff. I knew the things that I had to pay attention to, and I overcame the sort of fears of actually sailing, right? What to do when the boat leans over, that feeling, that the belief that it's not going to fall, that it's not going to tip over. I had to learn all that stuff. I didn't know that stuff before. So yeah, so initially sailing with a weirdo started as a way of me telling the story, right? This is what I went through, and this is how I overcame it. This is how I sort of lifted myself out of that hole of depression, and you can do the same thing. That's how it started. And the more and more I met people, the more it sort of turned into actually physically taking people out, you know, and showing people that there are people out there that do care. That there are people out there that really want you to make a difference and want to see you thrive and survive. And in doing that, I met people along that journey that really triggered me, right? That I didn't know how to cope with. There were people that I would try and explain things to, and they'd get upset because they felt I was nitpicking or whatever it was, you know. And there were people that came from all sorts of backgrounds that I struggled to get along with, and I thought to myself, you know what, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can. Let's find somewhere more comfortable. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I've got what it takes in order to put myself out there, and especially the social media side of things, the negativity and the pessimism. I didn't know if I had what it takes to do that. Sorry, I'm sailing, so obviously I'm adjusting my steering. But yeah, if I'd listened to my gut, then I would have walked away after the first couple of experiences. first two people I sailed with were wonderful, and then I met a few people that were a bit difficult, and we've become lifelong friends since then, actually. And I've got a tremendous amount of respect for them. And it's sort of, when I had a beer with them afterwards and we got chatting and things had calmed down and my sort of fight-flight response had calmed down and the part of my brain that really wanted to see this thing through had taken over, I thought to myself, you know what, I can do this. I don't need to run away from something that I really, really want to do. And the same is true for relationships. Our gut feel in relationships. People refer to the things that bother us in early relationships as red flags. Right? And red flags are gut feelings, and they are dangerous, right? Because think about it, a relationship is a little bit like prospecting for diamonds. Right? You sift through a lot of muck and dirt and stuff that is irrelevant and nasty in order to get that thing that you want. And you're right, you found it. You found this new relationship, the little diamond, right? But think about this. It's a rough diamond. It still requires work. It still requires you to work at it and then to turn it into the thing that you want. Now, when it comes to relationships, obviously there's two people, so both have to work at it. Both have to say, you know what, that little thing, that sort of somewhat triggered me, and I've had to think about it, and I was wondering if we could do something different instead, right? And if both people approach it like that, then you work together on this rough diamond and you turn it into the beautiful thing that you want, that you can wear on your sleeve. And I've seen that so many times, that people are willing to, myself as well, I've made this mistake as well, willing to walk away from something before it's had a chance to be worked on, before you've had a chance to say, you know what, I'm sorry I was clumsy, I'm sorry I was insensitive, I've had a tough day, I'm sorry I spent the whole evening just talking about myself, can we talk about you, right? Or somebody says, you know what, I didn't like something, I didn't like the sort of exuberance or whatever it is that triggered it. Right? Relationships need work. And so the dreams that you want, the things that you want to do in life, whether it be sailing around the world, whether it be learning a musical instrument, whether it be start working for charities, or whether it be finding someone nice, starting a relationship, they require work. And very often we encounter things that freak us out. But if you ignore your gut feeling, even if it's just for a day, and you have a chance to sleep on it and think about it, your brain thinks about things differently. The frontal cortex, the part of your brain that says, oh, I know what that is, and actually I know that there's a better way of dealing with this. That part of your brain has a chance to take over and takes you towards the things that you want to do in life. And by the way, I found a cuttlefish. There were loads actually out in the channel, in the outside the Solent. There were loads of these, but yeah, cuttlefish, nice cuttlefish. There'll be a little memento on the boat. I don't have a parrot, but cuttlefish.